This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds. And what I'm responding to is nothing less than a historic rising of the working class in a capitalist country, France in particular. Something has been brewing there for years and has now exploded into one of the sharpest contradictions and conflicts between the employer class and the working class that we have in modern history. And I suspect it is going to happen in other European countries and beyond. This is a problem where France is in the lead, as it has been in the past, but it is in the lead of something brewing everywhere else. What do I mean? For the last several weeks in France, millions of people have gone into the streets, not just of Paris and of Marseille, but of all the smaller cities and towns in France. Week after week, demonstration after demonstration. It's an extraordinary outpouring of public anger, public determination, a working class saying to its government, no, you can't do that. So it's very, very important. Here's the issue that started it all off. The government, and let me explain, in France, the government, as in so many capitalist countries, is a kind of musical chairs elite, leaders of industry taking off their industrial hat and putting on their government hat. They come from the same families, they go to the same elite schools, they are wealthy individuals, the usual story in most cases. That government got itself, as they usually do, into difficulty, namely, that it wasn't raising enough money in taxes to cover its expenditures. This happens often in capitalist countries for the same reason. And what is usually done is you try to raise taxes if you can, and you hit a stone wall because nobody wants to pay more taxes. So then you start cutting services because you're not raising more taxes, but nobody wants their services cut. So what the governments do, and they all do it, is borrow money. And this is a cute idea because who do they borrow from? The working class doesn't have any money to lend to the government. The only people who can lend to the government are the rich and the corporations. So, in effect, by the government refusing to tax them, they get to lend that money to the government. If the government taxed them, it take the money and it's over. But this way, the government borrows, has to give the money back to them and pay them interest, excuse me, over the time that the loan exists. This is a joke. And it's the way capitalism works in the United States every bit as much as in France. But now we have a special problem. There's not enough money coming in to cover the pensions that have been promised to the working class. In France, pensions start at 62. Yeah, workers have struggled to get a pension to start earlier than in other countries or in many other countries. So you get a pension, but there's not enough money for a pension, said the government. And they don't want to borrow from the rich anymore because the rich don't want to give them more loans because there's a lot of loans already given to the government. And there's a fear among the rich and the powerful that the government may not be able to pay those loans back. So they don't want any more of that. So they said to their leader, one of them, Mr. Macron, just tell the workers, look, we don't have enough money for your pensions. So you can't take a pension. You can't retire at age 62. You have to wait till you're 64. That way we get 2 more years of your work putting money into the government and 2 less years of the government having to pay out pensions. Great for me keeping the government in good shape. Awful for the working class. This is not a pension reform. This is a pension ripoff. And it's an attempt of the ruling capitalist elite to rip off the working class to solve the budget problems that elite government got itself into. And the French working class says, no, we're not going to allow you to do it. And if that means the government has to go, let it go. This is the third act of the French working class in recent times that shows something big is brewing. First, we had the yellow vests a few months ago, actually started before the pandemic and then was suspended by the pandemic. Now we have this massive demonstration. No, no, no. The yellow vest said, you can't raise taxes on us to solve your problems. And the government had to retreat, take off the tax on fuel, which started the whole yellow vest movement. And now we have this. You're not going to take away our pensions. You're not going to do. We don't care what you do, what games you play, what court you go before and get a nice judgment. You're not solving the problems of French capitalism on the backs of its working class. And I told you there were three things. Here's the third one. The last presidential election, which is what brought Mr. Macron to power, I want to give you the results because I don't think most Americans understand what happened there. There were three major parties running. This is a very few years ago. Three parties. The party of Mr. Macron, they got 27% of the vote in the first run of the presidential election. Coming in second was the right-wing party of Marine Le Pen. She got 23% of the vote. Coming in third was the party representing the United Left. That's right, the left wing in France, the labor unions, the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, they all got together backing up a man named Mélenchon. He got 22%. That's right, Macron, 27, Le Pen, 23, Mélenchon, 22. That means the left is very close to running that society. Had the Green Party in France joined Mr. Mélenchon, it would have been a second tour of the French election, Macron against Mélenchon. The left is unified, the left is very powerful, and no amount of neglecting what it has achieved and what this means in the Western press, including the United States, is going to change any of that. There is a challenge to the capitalist system being built up. The polls in France are 70% in favor of the demonstrators. That's right. All of the labor union federations are involved in these demonstrations around the pension. Unity we've never seen in the working class before. And if you want to know why Mr. Macron is suddenly not so sure about the Ukraine war, not so sure about backing the United States in its struggles with China, it has nothing to do with Ukraine or China. It's Mr. Macron desperately trying to survive politically in the storm he has provoked. If interventions like this, if interpretations of what's going on strike you as interesting, please share with us these videos. That's why we make them. And in general, if you'd like to see the work we do and make use of it, go to our website, democracyatwork.info. And there you can sign up for our newsletter, our mailing list, and so on. And of course, if you can support us financially, that would be appreciated as well. Thank you.